Hi, I'm Wayne the Boat Guy, and in this video, we're going to be swapping out some winches. Let's have some fun. So one of the first videos I ever made on YouTube was me installing my Fulton F2 winch onto my really old boat trailer for my little old boat. When I bought that winch, I didn't know anything about pound ratings and how that worked or anything like that. So, and it was the end of the season. There weren't many available in the stores, and I stupidly went out and bought one rated for 3,200 pounds, which I think is the largest size of Fulton F2 winch. So it's like the fanciest, most expensive winch, and it's very highly rated. Well, my little old boat doesn't weigh nearly that much. My new boat weighs a lot more than my old boat. So when I brought my new boat home, this is its trailer. I took a look at the winch that was on here, and I mean, it's brand new. It's very, very nice. It's not as nice as a Fulton F2. And what I did is I looked at it, and it's only rated for 2,000 pounds. And my Fulton F2 is rated for 3,200 pounds. So it just makes sense to swap these winches around and put this lighter weight rated winch on my smaller boat and put the larger weight rated winch on my bigger boat. Doesn't that make sense? I think so. Also, what's really cool is this one's wheel thing here is a Fulton F2, so it'll be all matchy, which, you know, that's real nice. So you want that stuff to match. It's not important, but you know. I didn't bring out my bucket of tools that I usually bring with me for a project like this because I was pretty sure all I'd need is a ratchet, a wrench, and some deep sockets. So I didn't bring out the whole bucket. We'll see if I regret that move. My set of deep sockets is metric and standard. I guessed at my wrench size of 9/16, so I may have to go back and get a 14 millimeter or 12 millimeter or something, and I got a regular 3/8 drive ratchet. So I'll show you some close-ups of this stuff, but deep sockets are definitely a worthwhile investment whenever you're trying to take off bolts, take nuts off of bolts, because the bolts go through really far, and if the bolt goes through really far and the nut's way up there, a regular socket won't fit on there, and sometimes you can't get a wrench in there. So deep sockets are great for that sort of thing. So before we get started, let me pull the other trailer up closer. What's nice is that this other trailer isn't very heavy. I can actually pick it up and roll it around. So let's start by taking this one off here. It looks like it has 3 bolts. These ones here are those round-headed ones that are squared off below so they lock into this trench. And then of course we've got a regular bolt here, which I'd seen before I started. And then underneath you can see our 3 nuts. And actually they're not very long bolts, so that's pretty good. On our Fulton F2, it's much harder to see. I think they're called carriage bolts. So this has 3 carriage bolts inside, and then underneath, these bolts are a little bit longer, soliciting the need for the deep sockets. All right, so let's see. It's, yep, that's 9/16. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So, underneath here, 9/16? No. Next one up is 11/16. No. Okay. When it's not 9/16 and it's not 11/16, chances are it's metric. Metric, 15 millimeter, but the top is 9/16. Maybe it's actually a 14 millimeter. Let's see. Huh. Yep, the top is a 14 millimeter, but my 9/16 fits on there. Should have brought my whole bucket of tools. Let's see. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Whenever I work upside down, it's hard to, right, that's tightening. That's loosening. There we go. All right, number one is free. Now, you saw that. Hey, I can find it. That's a lock washer. So, typically these mounts are universal, so everything should work back and forth. Hey, that doesn't feel right on there. Hear that sound? That's it being too loose. You don't want to use the wrong size socket. Let's try 9/16 there. Ooh. Yep, much better. These are carriage bolts, so I don't need to hold them from the top. Just need to watch out for spiders under here, or bees, or other such nonsense. Oh my. Boy, those are tight. And then the front one. Always make sure your socket is square on the bolt head, so that you're not going on at an angle. If you go on at an angle, you can definitely mess things up. It's interesting, the bolt that was metric had a washer on both sides and a lock washer, and these carriage bolts, there's literally nothing. There's just the nut and the carriage bolt. Oh my God. Learn from me. Don't set everything on here. Mow your lawn before you start doing this kind of job. There we go. All right, we found everything so far. All right, so this is ready to come off. Ooh, nice. Nice and heavy. So I'll show you. So its capacity is 2,500 pounds. Thank you if you already subscribed to my channel. And if you don't subscribe to my channel, please click subscribe. And that way I know that you like the content I'm making. Also, you can ring that bell to be notified whenever I come out with new videos, and then you'll find out what other things I'm doing. And by subscribing to YouTube channels, you let those YouTubers know that you like what it is that they're doing and you want them to keep making videos. So please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Think these are 9/16? Hey, they are. Woohoo! I put these on so they're not crazy tight. They're just appropriately tight. These are locking nuts, so they give more resistance whenever they're coming off or going on. So you can't unthread them by hand once you get them loosened until they're really loose. Let me show you the difference between a non-locking nut and a locking nut. This is a regular nut. So it's just steel on the inside and steel on the outside, or galvanized or whatever. This is a locking nut. See how it's like a different color inside there? It's like this one happens to be like a sort of a tan. Some of them are red, some are white. So that's a little nylon ring inside of there. It doesn't go all the way through, because see the other side of the nut you can see is metallic threads, just like this one. Locking nuts don't work their way loose. That's the advantage of locking nuts. At the top of it is this nylon. That makes it a locking nut. Locking nuts, they tend to stay tight and they kind of keep corrosion out. And this doesn't fit in there. See, this doesn't want to fit in there. That doesn't work. See how that doesn't work? Mr. Ratcheting Wrench works just fine. We're going to keep all the hardware with the appropriate ones. So both of these surfaces have 3 holes in them. Oh, that's nice that this stuff's kind of universal. This one actually has 4 holes. I think it was originally designed for a much smaller style winch back in the day. And I think somebody drilled it out to handle a larger winch. I like the simplicity of this winch though. It has a very nice industrial sound. There's my holes. There they are. All right, let's drop our bolts through. Carriage bolt top. You really can't get this stuff wrong. Carriage bolts just drop all the way in. There we go. So with the locking nuts, the nylon part always goes out. So the steel part goes closest to the bolt. So the locking part in this one, because it's going upward, the locking part goes to the bottom and the steel goes to the top. So that way, whenever it's all tightened down, you can see the nylon of the locking nut. Does that make sense? This other thing has a lock washer. Always goes flat washer closest to the bolt, then the locking washer, and then your nut. Kind of want to, these things are a little bit adjustable, so you kind of want to tweak it, make sure it's all nice and square and straight on there. And let's go ahead and start tightening some things up here. Turn my ratchet the other way. And now the castle bolts, sometimes you got to hold the top of them with your finger to hold them down. Did I call it castle bolt? It's not a castle bolt. Whatever it is, I don't know. That round-headed one that fits into the groove. Doesn't have a nut on it. Sometimes you have to hold them down with your finger when you're first putting them on. They're on just fine. Here, let me give you the extreme close-up of this. So you can see this is rated higher than the other one. Do you see that? £3,200, first layer, 1,600 pounds, full drum. I don't know what that means. So here's how these bolts fit in this. They have this little thing here and they slide in and then they, like that. So that kind of holds them in place. That's pretty neat. When I first installed this a couple of years ago, I guess now, I thought that was pretty cool. Go. And because they slide around in there a little bit, you can just keep wiggling it around till you get it. So when I put the nuts on, I put nylon part down. These ones are nice because they have the big flat part, so it's sort of like a built-in washer. And That's also why they thread on a little bit, because they thread on for that steel part, and then the rest of it, when it starts to get snug, that's whenever you know that you're into the nylon section. Now, the way I put this on last time was I kind of worked these up evenly, so that way I could kind of get it on here nice and square. It's funny, it's a smaller looking winch than that other one. So the way these things work, the way they're rated, is that if a winch is rated for, let's say, 2,000 pounds, that doesn't mean that you can't have a boat that's more than 2,000 pounds. I think it's, if you're pulling at a certain angle, the max it can pull is 2,000 pounds. You can actually do 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. So a 2,000 pound rated winch can actually pull up to a 6,000 pound item. If you have a very steep boat ramp, I think it is not 3 to 1 then. I think it's more like 1.5 to 1 or something like that. That's why you want to have as high rated of a winch as you can in a situation like that. And that boat, whenever it's loaded with fuel and everything, I'm not sure exactly what it weighs. I remember looking it up. I think it's like 5,000 pounds though. That might also be on the trailer too though. So either way, my new boat is bigger and heavier than my old boat. So it just seems logical that a winch that is rated for higher pounds is the one to use. Here is 2,000 pound winch. Nice shiny 2,000 pound winch set up on an old boat trailer. So here's this winch set up on this trailer. So yeah, see, I got the Fulton F2 here, right? Yeah, and then the Fulton F2 here. So it's a matching set. Very high tech. All my friends will be so impressed. Well, that's it for today. We swapped around our winches. Nice little quick project. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe out there on the water, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Have a great day.